In 2016, Atlus released Persona 5, and with this release came Goro Akechi, also known as Pancake Man. Akechi is definitely one of the most polarizing characters in the Persona franchise. To some, he is this fascinating, tragic foil to Joker. To others, his story is kind of hot garbage, his character doesn't really add up very well, and his popularity mostly came from good looks and good voice acting. If you made a case for Akechi before the release of the Royal version of the game, you've probably been met with more than just a little bit of skepticism. It wasn't until the release of said Royal version that the conversations around this character started to shift. And that shift is interesting because Royal doesn't just completely reinvent Akechi as a whole. It doesn't erase what he did. It doesn't magically just turn him into a good person. What it does is giving him something the original P5 failed to pull off, and that is clarity. In vanilla Persona 5, Akechi often feels like he's being pulled in too many directions by the plot at once. He's supposed to be number 1, Joker's rival, number 2, the lawful counterpart to the Phantom Thieves, number 3, Shido's hidden weapon, number 4, Shido's abandoned son, number 5, a murderer, number 6, a celebrity detective, and number 7, a revenge-driven victim. To be fair, these are all very good ideas on their own. But when you put all of those things onto a single character, and in our case that character is Goro Akechi, it makes him feel more messy than layered. And Akechi feels more like a plot device rather than an actual character in original P5. For those folks who haven't played original P5, let me explain. In that game, Goro Akechi didn't have an actual social link where you can go find him and do activities with him. The game automatically leveled him up, and when the time came, he just disappeared. You fight him in Shido's palace, and then he's just gone. He didn't come back at the end of the game when Joker was about to be arrested like the Royal version did. He was just not there. Now, coming back to the point where I said Akechi felt more like a plot device rather than an actual character. This is the reason I think the fan base is so divided on him, and I can understand that division. And while I tend to agree with people that say Akechi's story is bad, I do think that he is fascinating. Although I do not think he is fascinating because he's a good guy or that he has a very good character arc. I personally think he's compelling because I can sense that the writers are trying to put something powerful into his character, even though the writing around him failed to convey that energy to us. Royal is where that potential starts to click into place. By expanding his confidant and letting Joker actually spend time with Akechi, the game stops merely telling us that Akechi is this important rival. Instead, it lets us see the relationship develop. In Royal, you actually get to spend actual meaningful time with him. You get to play pool with him. You get to go to the jazz club with him. And it's only then that the polished detective prince facade begins to crack. And underneath that facade, we get a much clearer look at his ego, his inferiority complex, his obsession with winning, his anger, and his fixation on Joker. In Royal, Akechi finally starts to feel like a real character rather than just a simple plot device. I'm not going to be the one to tell you if Akechi is a good character or a bad one, that's totally up to you, but at least he is a real character now. That's what's important. And that transition from simple plot machine to actual character matters a lot because though some are reluctant to address it, Akechi actually plays a crucial role in Persona 5's larger themes. Akechi is introduced as Joker's opposite, a public hero of justice working within the law, contrasted with a vigilante who acts from the shadows. This contrast is reflected in Robin Hood, his initial persona, which outwardly fits the game's rebellious iconography, while also presenting him as a more acceptable, sanitized symbol of heroism. Unlike the Phantom Thieves, however, it's not enough for Akechi just to be a hero. He must be seen as a hero as well. His identity depends on recognition, on status, on the approval of others. He presents himself as charming, even clumsy. It's all part of the performance. Of course, the truth is much darker than that. Akechi is not a paragon of justice, but a deceptive killer whose public morality masks resentment, cruelty, and pride. His other persona, which is Loki, exposes the side of him that the detective prince persona has always been hiding. The trickster, the liar, the one who manipulates appearances for his own means. And yet, even here, Akechi is more than just a villain. He is also one of the clearest embodiments of Persona 5's core concerns: justice, rebellion, distorted desires, control, and the struggle to define yourself in a world that wants to use you. That is what makes his relationship with Joker so important. Royal especially strengthens the idea that Akechi is not just Joker's enemy, but his dark reflection. Both are intelligent, isolated young men shaped by injustice. Both are forced into conflict with a corrupt adult world. The difference is that Joker finds connection while Akechi doesn't. Joker builds bonds that allows him to grow beyond his pain. Akechi turns inward, becoming consumed by pride, envy, and the need to prove his own worth. That's why his fixation on Joker is so compelling. It's not just simple hatred, and it's not just admiration either. It's a poisoned recognition. He sees in Joker someone painfully similar to himself, but also someone who represents everything he failed to become. Also, Royal does not try to force a redemption arc onto him, and it does not ask the player or the Phantom Thieves to forget about his crimes. There is no moment in the game that the Phantom Thieves go together and say, "Oh, it's okay, Akechi, even though you killed Haru's dad and Futaba's mom, it's okay, we forgive you because you were sad." No, that does not happen. The game does not pretend that a tragic past excuses murder. Instead, Royal makes him coherent. He becomes less of a bundle of contradictory plot points and becomes more of what he always should have been: a dark mirror of Joker. These factors combined gave Akechi fans finally a leg to stand on. Even though I still do not like Akechi personally, I can understand why some people do like him. And Akechi's role as Joker's dark mirror becomes even more important in the third semester. In Maruki's ideal world, Akechi is offered the one thing he never truly had: a life free from pain, consequences, and loss, and yet he rejects it. That rejection is what finally elevates him, not because it redeems him morally, no, of course not, but because it reveals the one principle he refuses to compromise on. He would rather face death than live as someone else's puppet. For a character defined by deception, manipulation, and self-delusion, that choice is strikingly honest. In the end, Akechi becomes compelling not because he becomes good, but because he becomes free. So no, I don't think Goro Akechi can be dismissed as simply as a badly written character. Of course, he is still a bad person in game, but outside of the game as players discussing the story, he is not exactly a badly written character, at least not in Royal. If you're talking about original P5, then sure, he's underdeveloped, uneven, and often feels like the story is reaching for more depth than it properly earns. But Royal transforms that pile of mess into something much more complete. Royal doesn't erase the flaws of the OG version, but it recontextualizes them into a character who feels sharper, more human, and far more thematically resonant. Akechi definitely isn't a good person by any moral standards, by a very long shot, but I do think that he does stand as one of the most interesting characters Persona 5 Royal has to offer.